Hello everyone, my name is Chris Quinlan. This is Melbourne Musos TV Show, what I'm calling Living History. An interview with David Brannigan, a dear friend of my father, John James Quinlan, who ran the Dan O'Connell Hotel from 1963 to 1976 and started all the Irish music with David Brannigan, Jamie Johnson and his wonderful wife Liz, who used to be my babysitter. There you go, as a pub kid. And I'm recording this on the day after dear Paddy Maloney, leader of the Chieftains, has passed away so sadly, and also on the anniversary of the passing of Jamie Johnson. So this interview is a little bit of living history, if you will, of those days, the times when the Chieftains came to Carlton, the influence thereof to everyone involved. Here's David Brannigan, wonderful musician, in his own words. We're off. All right.
We're on. Okay. Chieftains, Paddy Maloney.
Okay.
1975. Chieftains are in Melbourne, and there's a bit of a phone ring around. Anybody got any tin whistles? The Chieftains have lost their tin whistles. So we invite ourselves round to an address in North Carlton, where a man called Bruce DeVay lived, who was making urban pipes at the time. Okay, and lots of people with tin whistles. So a few of us turned up.
Right.
And Sean Potts and Paddy Maloney and the 12 fiddle players, Sean Keane, turned up.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Tried out various whistles and selected some. And we had a bit of a session there as well. And Maloney had his first go on Northumbrian small pipes that Bruce had made a set of.
Wow. So you've actually played with the men?
There were some tunes happening, but yeah, there was a little bit. Now, none of that was recorded. What I've got on the cassette is the session that happened afterwards.
Okay.
we were so buoyed up by meeting these wonderful Irish musicians, you know, who we'd heard on record and all the rest of it.
Yep.
I first heard the Chieftains in Declan Affley's house in Glebe.
Oh, wow.
71.
Dear Declan.
Dear Declan. And he was getting into the fiddle at the time, and also the Ulan pipes just after that too.
Right.
All inspired as we were by these wonderful musicians, the Chieftains. And the second time I met Maloney, Johnny Fitz and I were at the concert in the Dallas Brooks Hall. This would have been early 90s.
Right.
And my friend Mark Wilkinson was working for Clifford Hocking Productions, the promoters, you know.
Right, yep.
So Johnny and I got taken up into the bio box in the Dallas Brooks Hall, you know, for the Chieftains concert. Wonderful. Best spot in the house. Best sound. And then Mark says, "You want to come back and meet the boys afterwards?" And of course. So we did. We went back to the Commodore corner of Exhibition and Little Lawn, where Trainers used to be, where Frank Trainers used to be.
Oh, Frank Trainers is a grand old friend of my dad's.
Yes.
In the day, yeah.
Yeah. So the original Frank Trainers was on that very corner where that, you know, multi-story hotel got put up. Anyway, Johnny and I walk in there with Mark and whatever, and hello, and it seemed like Paddy knew who we were anyway, you know.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and he's a very, just really approachable man. But what he did, he pulled his jacket aside and showed me a reefer that he had rolled with. He wanted someone to blow a joint with.
That's
Did you not? So up to the room we go, up to the hotel room we go in there, smoke the joint. Johnny didn't. Paddy and I did, right? And then we go back down into the bar and drink Guinness and talk. And Paddy talked about where they'd just been in China with the Irish ambassador.
Oh, that was their first big trip too. That was one of the first
China
bands.
trip, right?
Yeah.
And he talked about Texas. He talked about being at Willie Nelson's picnic in Texas. And the Chieftains are sitting around in the circle, and they've just all had some of Willie's best.
Willie's best of what? No, don't tell me.
And Paddy said, you wouldn't believe it, you know. There we are with the ambassadors one week, and there we are at Willie Nelson's picnic, stone shit-faced.
That's funny. Isn't that amazing? I mean, even Frank Zappa loved them. You know, that's the connection.
And the Stones got them to open for them.
Yeah.
All the bands in the world, you know. Who do you want to open for? Oh, fucking Chieftains, mate.
Well, didn't they do Rocky Road to Dublin together?
Yeah. And
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, all that stuff.
Yeah. And the Chieftains played with everybody. Everybody played with them. There's, you know, Van the Man.
Yep.
Who, you know, locked himself in the dunny because he was so anxious about doing the gig, though.
Wow, I didn't know about that. What was that? What's that story? He got so...
Well, this is from the horse's mouth, you know.
Right.
From someone obviously in the know who was there at the sessions. And then when he came out to do his songs, Lug and Love and Carrick Fergus and whatever, he did it perfectly in one take.
Right, yep.
Okay, that's the Van part of, you know, combining with the Chieftains, yeah.
You've brought up a funny thing there because of Lag and Love, because I've got a friend in Julie Storer who has sent me an incredible version of it, and it's raw. It's, you know, like even Kate Bush has done a version of it.
Okay.
And it's...
I learnt that song out of a book, mate.
Oh.
Way back in the late 60s. I found it in a songbook.
Oh, it's a gorgeous song.
Loved the mode of it, you know. Now, Sandy Denny of Fairport Convention fame.
Yep. Also battled Forevermore with Led Zeppelin.
Yes. She wrote another set of words to the tune.
Oh, wow. Did she? I didn't know that.
Joys of Brotherhood, she called it. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Ah.
And my daughter Fiona, from her own investigation, learnt it quite a few years ago.
Right.
You know this song, Fiona? Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, the thing about it is, I mean, we're talking. I better do the background and everything like that. David, you've come up. You know my father, John James Quinlan, and we're having this chat late at night, and I'm raising a glass to Jamie Johnson. I've
got the whiskey and the coffee here, mate.
Oh, there you go. You know, the anniversary, and just the history, and
John James too, mate.
It's the
most generous publican I think I've ever come across, mate. From the very first day we walked into the little snug near the bottle shop, made ourselves at home. He made us at home. He made us feel at home.
Oh, thank you. And
I understand a little more of how he must have seen us since you told me about Frank Trainor's band playing in one of his other pubs, one of the previous pubs.
Well, it's the Prince of Wales Hotel in St Kilda.
Oh. Well, there you go. There you go. So he knew what it was about. This is jazz music, this is folk music, this is live acoustic music mostly.
That's the thing. I mean, it was sometimes a bit hard to pull it out of Dad because of just the way he was. You know, that's business, that's the job. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And every now and again, I'd say, Dad, do you actually realise what you've done? You know, that kind of thing. And it was one of those things where he went, well, I booked them, and that's what it is. And I said, do you understand it's the Prince of Wales Hotel in St Kilda that we're all busting our asses to get a gig at? Yes. And then do you know that people come to the Dan O'Connell because of what you, David, and Jamie and Dad started, you know? Do you know what? That kind of thing. And he just took it on like, that was my job. And I got, it wasn't quite like that, Dad.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It meant a lot to a lot of people, you know?
Oh, mate, look, there were people I've met, actually physically, literally met, you know, young Irishmen, you know, wide-eyed Irishman who's come all the way from Ireland with one address. Daniel Cotton Hotel, Melbourne, Australia.
There it is. It's just one of those things. And plus the time. I mean, that all started at the time, do I dare say, but the time of the Troubles and you know,
Yes.
69, 70, 71, all the thing. And
Yes.
one of the things that I have always said is that the kind of history that I was taught at school was very, very different to what I learnt at the hotel. As far as that kind of stuff, without that getting too heavy. But the thing about that is that, oh my Lord, I mean, you know, I was just a pub kid, you know. Like the thing about...
But you were eyes and ears, weren't you?
Yeah, well, the thing about that was, the thing I remember about Declan Affley, and I've told you this story before, is that he just made friends of the whole family, and he'd take care of me. Actually, I was like 11, picking up glasses, whatever. Things would get a little bit rough. You remember the bikies used to come in after the folkies and all that. And Declan used to come along and pat my head and this sort of stuff. And then Dad would say, "It's getting a bit rough here, son. Go upstairs." You know, that'd be the end of my shift at 11.
At 11, yeah.
And that's the thing I remember about all of you is that I'd just sit there and listen. And to this day, it's the precision. It was the precision of it, and the thing about things like tin whistles. Like, I mean, we're talking about Paddy Maloney and your story. You know, that beautiful story with the Chieftains and, you know, tin whistles, finding a tin whistle. That's why.
Oh, we were so pleased to be able to offer them a selection, you know.
Oh, it's incredible. But that's why. That's
concert, and I played it myself. I got out the whistles. I haven't played the whistle much lately, but I played today.
Right.
And I played the recording of Paddy's own tune called Summertime, It Will Come.
Wow.
It's just a beautiful air, you know. Look it up. It's on Chieftains 5. Samara Saura. Chukidam Saura. Summertime, It Will Come.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It's the whistles tune. I mean, they're all there, you know, but it's a feature of the whistles, and there on the stage, you know, that your man Sean Potts, he starts it off, you know, just solo whistle.
Beautiful. The thing is, that's why I never took the recorder for granted at school. You know, everyone calls it the devil's pencil.
Okay.
And I thought, no. That's what the tin whistle's for, and that's, you know, and then that's what we've got, you know, that kind of thing. And that's the thing that gets me, is like on a night like tonight when we're, you know, like we're raising a glass to dear Jamie. We've got Paddy Maloney, and you're so close to him, and that's just incredible. It's an incredible story that needs to be repeated. It's just one of those things that's glorious, you know. There's
lots of stories appeared on my Facebook feed in memoriam of Paddy Maloney, you know.
Yeah.
My good friend Peter Logue, Northern Irishman, good musician, former journalist in the, you know, the press gallery up in Canberra. He used to travel on the airplane in the Hawke years, you know, following the politics.
Wow. Yep.
Lead writer for the Australian, he was. When it was a decent newspaper, right? He had some reminiscences too, you know, of being in Shanghai when the Chieftains were there. He travelled a bit, the man, you know.
Yeah, that was such an important trip too. That was a breakthrough trip for many reasons, wasn't it?
Mate, and yeah. Well, he told me, you know, face to face, we were sitting at the table drinking Guinness, and he told me how it was for them in China, you know. And contrasted it with how they were at Willie Nelson's picnic.
Oh, God help me, yeah.
From, you know, ambassadorial status to, you know, getting stoned in Texas somewhere with Willie and with Willie Whalen and David Allen Coe and all the rest of them, you know, the Texas boys.
Yeah, but that's the thing, wasn't it? Because the fiddle playing and everything that goes with it. I mean, even they played with Chet Atkins and everybody else as well, because the music is so connected in a funny kind of way.
Oh yeah, and it's really joyous music.
It is. You can't get out of a concert without a smile.
No, that's right.
That's the thing, it's one of those things. I was watching a BBC documentary just last night about it, and he always said, this is Paddy's words, he said, once a chieftain, always a chieftain, and I'm going to go out with my boots on.
Right, okay.
And I've gone, yep, there you go. That's it,
Yeah.
And the thing is, and they hit every corner, because I'm the Frank Zappa freak, sort of, I'm the weirdo. But the thing is, when I didn't realise that they were one of Frank Zappa's favourite bands as well, and had them around to the house to have one of the big jams when he was fighting his battle towards the end, that kind of thing. So they had this gigantic jam session.
Right.
And the Chieftains were in the middle of it with a bunch of there was Zappa, there was
and his mates.
Terry Bozzio, Johnny Guitar Watson, for the blues side, and then a group of Tuvan throat singers from the Himalayas.
Oh, really?
And they put it all together. It's there somewhere
really?
on YouTube. But it's amazing. It's amazing the connections they were able to make.
So they're recordings of that stuff? Or?
I think it's a funny one, because you got to try and find snippets of it on YouTube somewhere, that kind of thing.
Well, if you've got any links, mate, I'd love to hear that.
I'll find them and I'll send them to you. But anyway, there you go. But I'm absolutely enamoured with this story about you and the Chieftains. This is amazing.
It was such a good thing. As I say, I've got a cassette of the session we had the day the Chieftains came to Carlton,
Right. Is that the story of the interview? That you've just given me the title of this interview, The Day the Chieftains Came to Carlton.
Okay, right, okay.
You've just done it. That's you. It's not me.
So this is 1975, mate, and they've just made the album called Chieftains 5.
Wow.
Which is still far and away my favourite of all the Chieftains albums.
Right.
Because it's the Chieftains 4, the first three, I've got 1 and 3.
Right.
Well, it's pure drop. It's essential, simple, beautiful music played with such respect, right?
Yep.
And along comes Chieftains 4, and they've got the harper.
Yep.
And they're starting to do impressionistic arrangements.
Yep.
Stuff on Chieftains 4 was on the soundtrack for that movie that
Barry Lyndon.
Barry Lyndon, yeah.
Stanley Kubrick.
Yes. And then there's Chieftains 5, which is several impressionistic pieces, and also this is where Maloney's actually starting to spread his wings as an arranger and a composer.
Right.
Especially arranger, but also a composer, and the beautiful Summertime, It Will Come. It's just gorgeous. I used to use that as a teaching piece, Chris.
Oh, wow, okay.
When I did the Teachers College stuff, 78 and 79, my good friend Audrey still tells the story to people, right? She was in Shenanigan, and she was a student teacher in 1978, and played the flute and the piano. And I turn up with this, introductory folk music, blah, 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 sessional music instructor, and introduce them to all sorts of things, from Fairport to the Chieftains. And, all right, we're going to play. We've got a couple of flute players, got some tin whistles. Here you go. And Audrey says, where's the music? And I said, I'm not going to give you any music. And just got them to play the... which is part of Summertime, It Will Come.
Right.
And I played the tune, and then by the time we've gone through it a bit, they're feeling their way into the tune. All right, now I'll play the twiddles and you play the tune. And I think we had 3 whistles going at the same time, so it was really nice and whistly.
That's beautiful.
Now, Audrey's told that story in front of... the last time she did, mate, here's a good story for you. The last Cygnet Folk Festival that went, we didn't have one this year, last year, there was one. Audrey was down doing a dance workshop in the town hall in Cygnet, right? And I'd been wandering around, and had my concertina with me. I wanted to go and see Audrey. She's come and see my gig, you know.
Yep.
She calls me sometimes. She's called me her beloved mentor. It's okay. It's just beautiful, you know.
Yeah.
It's a really nice relationship going. Anyway, I've left my concertina backstage at the hall, you know. So I come in later on, the dance is all going on, and Audrey's, you know, going through the steps of yet another dancers. I go backstage, pick up my concertina, and as I come back down the stairs from backstage, I hear the last bit of Audrey talking about me, and I got her into all this stuff at the very beginning, right? So here I am. I don't have a gig in the place, right? I'm Joe Nobody, you know, but I have the whole hall full of dancers applauding me as I walk down the hall.
That's funny.
Try not to be too red-faced about it, you know. It's just gorgeous, mate. Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. Now, Audrey, give me the Audrey. What's her full name?
Audrey Klein.
Sorry,
Klein. Klein. Audrey Klein.
Audrey Klein. So anyone who can look her up, please look her up. You're her mentor. There you go.
For a friend request, you go, you're a friend of mine, you know, or I'll recommend or something, you know.
Fantastic.
Audrey, she still teaches music, teaches primary school. We do lots of gigs for her. Joe Palacci and I did a fantastic gig one day at Audrey School.
Oh, beautiful.
Best of all gigs, right? Oh, yeah. Just walking around with the kids. They were doing a history project, but they were doing day at the diggings.
Right.
And they all dressed up, you know, so there's girls in mob caps and there's soldiers and bushrangers and convicts and the works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Day at the diggings, and Joe and I walked around, you know, playing music for them. It was delicious.
Oh, excellent.
At the sit-down session at the end, Audrey's one of these people, mate, to see her work with a room full of kids, the sort of person who would go, okay, we're all quiet now. And they go, oh, yes. Now we're all going to stand, and they stand up. Now we're all going to sit. The sort of person that the kids want to agree with, you know?
Yeah.
Really good teacher, really good dance instructor as well.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, what a tale.
Yeah, no, it's good, mate. It's checkered.
That's fine. Well, all right. Well, look, that was incredible. You've named it. The Day the Chieftains Came to Carlton. There you go. There's your title. 1975, I was still there.
Oh, yeah, 1975.
Yeah,
right.
Dad retired in 1976, so that was it, and then we were out on our own. He wanted me to take over. I would have been the first underage publican in Australian pub history.
Right, okay.
Leonard, my dear brother Leonard, already gone back to Adelaide by that stage, so that was that. But they're crazy times, aren't they? It was gorgeous.
Yeah, mate.
The things we do.
Volatile times, and these are crazy times too.
Yeah. Oh well.
But you know, we've always been walking the tightrope, Chris. You know, it's life. Some have better balance poles than others, you know.
Yep.
We're all walking the tightrope.
I know.
Oh, what's that wonderful image, you know, the sparrow flies in the window, comes in out of the darkness, flies through the room, flies out the other window.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, that's life. That's a life.
All right. Well, look, I'm going to sign off. And David, thank you for that. Hang on a bit. I'm just going to sign off by turning off the recorder. I'll still be here. Okay. But thank you so much for that story. That's a treasure. That's a treasure right there.
Good. Use whatever you want of it, mate. Yeah.
No worries. I'm going to put it straight up. There's no editing needed here, so it's all fine. I'll just put a bit of echo. How's that? Or whatever. But the thing about it is, I mean, when we're talking about things like, you know, the day the Chieftains came to Carlton, your title, that's your credit, and things like that. But the kind of love that band had,
mate,
and all that. I mean, even the Irish Prime Minister, you know, Prime Minister Higgins. He's launched in, you know.
He's given eulogy too.
Yeah. You know, so it's just the how can you put it, the extent of the influence. Like, I just saw it, and it was like, I said it to a friend. It's a little bit like, because there's an anniversary of a passing as well, but it's a little bit like the Irish Van Halen, you know, when, or like, and I had to explain it to a student. You know what it felt like when David Bowie passed away? Right. And everyone went, oh, yeah, you know, my student went, yep. And I said, well, that's Paddy Maloney. To anyone who is in this kind of genre, or growing up in Celtic music, and what you've done and what my father's done and all that, you know, that kind of thing. The legacy is what I'm talking about.
It's a huge legacy, mate.
Yeah, unbelievable. No worries. But I'll sign off. But don't hang up. And but that's incredible. It's an amazing story and an amazing legacy too for everyone. You know, it's beautiful, and we can't get by with all of this without raising a glass to dear Jamie Johnson as well. Yeah, and his wife Lis, and everyone. You know, so it's amazing, isn't it? Crazy.
Yes. Well, we honour our friends, mate.
Yeah.
I relearned some Shakespearean sonnets relatively recently to do Shakespeare on the Huon down here, you know, the Huon Valley Theatre people.
Yeah.
And there's some lines in one of them. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow for precious friends hid in death's dateless night.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
But, you know, he always cheers up at the end, you know. But happily I think on thee, and then my soul, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered, such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings.
That's beautiful.
That's the one that starts, when in disgrace with fortune in men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state. I trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate. Wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy, contented least. Yeah. Then in my thoughts myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my soul, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered, such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. That's gorgeous.
So only the best, mate, you know, Tolkien, Shakespeare, old folk songs. I mean, frivolous stuff. I quite happily sing happy songs. I go to the folk club, mate, and think, I'll sing this really serious song and see the people need cheering up. So I'll do My Canary's Got Circles Under His Eyes or something absurd, you know. Whistle along, people. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to press stop now.
We'll call it a night. Okay.
But don't hang up. Hang on. I'm just pressing stop on the recorder. That's all. Hang on.
Okay.
But thank you. But anyway, thank you so much, David. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you for your positivity, mate. Yeah,
no, it's gorgeous. No problem at all. I mean, you know.
Okay.
Hang on one second.
Wellaghan stream sings lullaby. There blows a lily fair. The twilight gleam is in her eye. The night